Okay, this is the part 2 of the select statement. I have already given one video for the done one video for the select statement. Let's go and actually not look into more of the select statement. Now this, let's see what is this SQL says that select category ID count star. Okay, and this is the ls to that column, the column name that has been given from product. Group by category ID means that is the grouping by the first category ID, that is the first field. Remember, this is aggregate, so this need not be have a problem. Okay, we need not put this thing into the group by clause. No aggregates have to be put. Any other column that has been put here has to be into the group by clause. Having count greater than, count star greater than. We cannot use a column name CNT. It doesn't work here. Remember that thing also. And this is how actually you have to use again the count star greater than 10. What it will give me, what does it say? Select category that count star product having count greater, that anything that has a count greater than, any category ID that has a count greater than 10 will be listed by this SQL statement. Let's execute this SQL statement and see. Okay, it says this statement is actually the product table is not available because the reason is very simple. We are in the wrong database. Let's execute it now. Okay, it's okay. It is from the Adventure Box 2000. Okay, now let's go and execute the statement. Okay, it's in the Northwind database, and this SQL statement actually I executed it. Okay, and it has listed all the data. As you can see, the count is greater than 12, and all these things have been listed. All greater than 10 has been listed, and 12 is greater than, definitely greater than 12, and 13 are greater than 10. So it has been showing up. Okay, let's go to the next SQL statement. Here again is a very similar here SQL statement. Again, select category ID sum. Okay, again this is the aggregate, and again this is using the unit in stock, and the name of the column would be after that would be named as a stock from product and group by the category ID. Again, remember that the aggregate are not listed in the group. Let's go and execute the SQL statement. Execute it. Okay, again you can see that the stocks have been listed here. Okay, let's go to the next SQL statement. In this SQL statement, as you can see, I have actually used the sum and average both. Okay, again as you see, these are aggregates, so they are not in the group by clause. Okay, one will sum the unit by the category ID, and other would be actually take an average. Okay, let's execute the SQL statement. What it gives me is, this SQL statement will give me the category by the category ID. It will be grouping it, and it will give me the sum of the units in stock by that category ID, and it will also give me the average of the unit price by that category ID. Okay, let's execute it, and there we are. And as you can see that the sum is 559, and the average price is 37 point. Okay, the average price is divided by the count of the category ID. If you wanted to actually check it out, you could also insert a count here. You can say count, so then you can verify it. As you can see, I have actually put the count column, okay, here, and I have not given the column name, so there is no column name actually. No column name is showing up. If I had given a column name, it would have actually come up here. Okay, anyway, if you divide the stock by this 559 by the 12, you should get approximately around this thing. Okay, it's very simple. No this thing. This is actually taking up the summing of the stock, and this is taking an average. but naturally it has to be count the category, the number of the records by the for the category ID 1 is actually 12, so the count comes to the 12. Again for the 2 is again is 12, for the 3 is 13, and so on and so forth. Let's go to the next SQL statement. Here again you can see it is a very similar SQL statement. Actually in this statement actually I am trying to use a min and a max. Min stands for the minimum and max stands for maximum. That's it. Nothing actually extraordinary about it. Okay, just very ordinary, using a min and max aggregate function. Okay, let's move to the next SQL statement. You can see the minimum stock and the maximum stock listed here. Now this is a SQL statement actually that is using more than one table and it's being using a inner join. If you want to actually understand what joins are, you can watch my video on the joins. Okay, right now actually we are just going to execute a SQL statement. Actually this is a much more of a inner join, that is known also as a equi join. It uses the primary key in the parent table and the foreign key in the child table, and you try to get the data. As you know, the relational database is always actually the data is divided between the parent table and the child table, and there are cases when there is a many to many relationships. In that case there is a intermediate table. Here it is. Select it and execute it, and as you can see the SQL statement has gone and executed it, and there we are. This is the data, it is showing up. Okay, let's move to the next one. Here it is. Now this one only exactly very simple SQL statement. Instead of telling everything else, it is just like give the top 10 by, okay, and the order by the unit price. What it means is give the by the order by the unit price. If I execute the statement, it will be top 10 by the unit price. So it will list the top 10 records by the unit price. Let's execute and see it. Okay, here it is top 10, because I said order by. You have to use the order by, otherwise it won't work. Remember that thing. This is where it takes the top 10 from, and again this is by unit price, as you can see. Okay, now let's go to the next one. It says descending, means the maximum price is up and the smallest price is down. Now there is one more actually word you can use, that is percentage. That comes to the SQL statement. You can use by percentage wise. Remember that the top 10% is not as a top 10. Top 10 will give you top 10 record, and top 10% will actually give you top 10 percentage of the records. If there are 100 record, if there are 200 records, the top 10% would give you 20 records. If there are 200 records, the top 10 will give you only just 10 records. So this takes a percentage. Again it is the same order by the unit price. Whatever the order by is, it will use that thing as for taking the top 10%. Okay, let's go and execute it. Okay, it's actually gone to some error because we have not selected the full SQL statement, and here it is. As you can see, the top 10% is only 8 records. Okay, now let's go and execute this another statement. Now here is the top 5. Okay, now again I am using aggregate here. Again I can use the group by the category ID. Again when I am using the group by category ID, remember that thing, I am not using the aggregate. Aggregate cannot be used by the group by, but again I can use it by the order by max unit ID stock. I cannot use this column here or by whatever I have given the name to as max stock, but I can use it by the order by. Again I have to use this compute this maximum function for the getting the order by. I will just go and execute the SQL statement, and let's go and see it, and it should work. And there it is. As you can see, it is because it is ordered by unit by in the stock descending, then the maximum of the stock is listed up and it has gone down. Here is again a very similar syntax, very similar syntax, nothing new. Okay, I will just execute the SQL statement, and there it is. Now because I have group by category ID and everything is the same, because only the percentage is top 5, maybe the records are very less, so that's it's only showing one of the record. Here the record and the row, actually whenever I am speaking, when I am speaking about rows or record, it means always the rows or the records mean the same thing. Okay, they are allied to each other. Here again top 50%, again I am going to show you. Maybe you may be doubting that thing, that the one, or does it display only one row. Here it is exactly the same syntax. Now remember that in the case if your table name has a space, you may have to use a bracket or a single quotes to actually get the information from the table. Otherwise it will give you error. It will think that you are trying to use two tables, and the syntax will actually create a error. Now suppose if you wanted to create a table that was a temporary, okay, or any data from the other table, you could use a select into start, okay, into temp from product. If I use this thing, it will put all the records from the product table into the temp. Okay, when I'm using it, the temp or whatever the table name I have given it here. Let's execute the SQL statement. As it says, the table name already exists. Let's go and change the table name to say temp for. Okay, and let's go and execute the SQL statement, and it should run correctly. There we are. It says 77 rows actually affected. Again I can use. Remember, whenever if I use a hash before temp, then it is local temporary table. It is created in the temp database. It is not created in the usual database wherever it is. So whenever you start a SQL server, the temp database is really cleared up and completely recreated. So it is not a problem whenever you are creating an temp table. Double hash will actually make it the table global. Now what is a global table and what is a local table? You can just go and look into the temp database of the video on the temp databases. Okay. Now this is another different one. It says use adventure go this database, and again instead of selecting all the records, here we are using the in clause where first name, this is the first name. Again remember, this is the maximum, then because this is the aggregate, we have to use the group by, and where the condition specifies where first name in Kevin, Linda, Mary. Choose only these first name and do not choose the rest, and then group it by the first name. Okay. As you can see that the database was incorrect. Okay, this is Adventure Work 2000, and this is how it works. As you can see, it has been listed here. Now suppose if I wanted to check the temp database, okay, what I was already created. In the case I have just created temp 4. Okay, I can just go and check it out. What record does it hold? What rows do the table hold? And you will see the same the contents of the. Okay, this statement has to be excused because the table, this SQL statement belongs to the already table that was a northwind, and it doesn't actually, because we created that temp table in the northwind, not here. Okay, let's go to the next one. Here it is. Select star into the empty table. Okay, what this SQL statement will do, will create a empty table. Means it will create a structure of the product table exactly as it is, but it will be empty, because where 0 equals to 1 will never match, and that is it. I will stop here.